make my company stand out at a trade show?
I mean, you go to the trade shows, and there's all this stuff people are giving away. They're giving away the tchotchkes, the balloons, the pens, the free samples, the champagne, the music, and all that. But I'll tell you, generally, Chelsea, that stuff's a waste of money. You start giving things away, it'll disappear in a minute, and very, very few of those items are going to end up with the people you want them to. They typically are grabbed by the hanger-ons who go around grabbing all this kind of stuff. And this is why it's so important to have a strategy. What's your plan? You need a plan on what you're going to emphasize. If you try to emphasize everything, you're going to be lost there. So instead, maybe with your booth, you emphasize the one thing that makes your firm different. Maybe it's a firm that offers free freight all the time. Maybe it's the firm that has the best customer service, the best technical support, the best warranty. Take that one thing and really emphasize it, and also try to get a lot of personal contact going. That's what can make a difference at a show. But giving things away, trying the fanciest booth, that stuff gets lost in the wash.
But Bob, don't we live in the age of swag where people are always looking for that free gift or free premium to take home with them?
They are, and that's a great question, Chelsea. And you know what? Because we're living in that era and everybody else is giving all kinds of stuff away, guess what I want to do?
What do you want to do?
If everybody's zigging, I'm going to zag. That's why I have my plan. I'm going to be different. I'm going to stand out. They're all giving things away. I'm going to be different by not giving things away. I don't want the kind of people who are rushing up to grab the free stuff. You know what? I'd rather spend my money, let's say, on a nice white carpet that looks inviting and design it in a way the booth isn't the biggest, but it looks like a place you want to walk into, that it's well done. And I want to think about what is a product or service I want to emphasize. Not necessarily my biggest one, but one that's perhaps fun to talk about, one that's going to entice people, one that's going to matter afterwards because they'll perhaps remember one of our products. Or maybe it's just a few chairs set up that look inviting to talk with those key people. I'm going to have a plan and a strategy. I'm just not going to open up a gift catalog and start giving away my life savings there. I'm going to stand out, and you don't need to give away things to stand out.
That's some great advice, but I want people to think I'm a big player. What should I do?
Well, typically you might as well give up. Seriously. You get people out there spending absurd amounts of money in trade shows, having these glorious displays. They're already known as being a big player, so it's already emphasizing it. And you're not going to get to be seen as a big player anyways by just being the biggest. You're going to have a great display there and have things that matter. Even if your trade show display is absolutely the best, if your products and service don't support that, you're lost. You're better off having a booth that's reasonable size, but it's really well done and is different, that stands out, that shows distinctiveness that's a result of your plan and your strategy.
That's really classy, Bob. Should I try to get some publicity before the show?
No, absolutely. You want to be in the trade publication so you get some people coming to your booth in advance to get some attention out there. Maybe do mailings to people, emails, social media. You play up. Because a lot of being really successful at a trade show is getting that stuff happening in advance. Now, you're really small. Maybe you're not doing that stuff. You don't have that many contacts. You just show up. That's okay, but it's much better if you can get the momentum going in advance. That's what the big guys do, and they call it creating a buzz. Maybe get the hottest new product. Maybe trying to sound like it. Maybe just get some reasonably good things. Maybe some decent special offers or new account deals. Do what you can to try to get that excitement in advance.
What should I do if one of my really big accounts wants to meet with me at the trade show?
Well, that's spectacular if they do. I mean, you'd be in Nirvana if you had big accounts who want to meet with you and then tell you in advance of the show and you could schedule them. Ideally, what we do is move them right off the trade show floor, meet them at a restaurant, meet them in your hotel suite, get them away from the noise so they're not distracted when they're meeting with you. But in reality, being a small player, you're lucky if you can get them just agreeing to come by your booth. I mean, it's so hard to attract the attention of key players. I mean, typically your best way as a small player is to watch for these people going up and down the floors and just kind of grab them and lure them into your booth then. And then you want to have a couple chairs set up. Even if you have a small booth, have 2, 3, 4 chairs set up in at least a corner of your booth towards the back where you can talk with people in a little less disturbed manner and try not to let everybody and their mother sit in those chairs and occupy them so that they're ready to go. But realistically, at a trade show, it's crazy out there. People cancel meetings. They don't show up. They leave in the middle. That's the nature of the beast, so don't get upset if that happens to you, but grab people any which way you can and try to take them to a quiet area of your booth and try to sit them down.
I have a feeling this answer might correlate to the next question. What if a customer brings up a problem at the show?
You can address it head on. That's one of the things people like to do. Look at a problem as an opportunity, and the bigger problem, the bigger opportunity, because you get to go one-on-one. You got to be ready to sort these problems. You got to have some toughness about you and get ready. But a trade show, in the spirit of it, the fact of coming up to you and dealing with it personally, give them the benefit of the doubt. A trade show, people can spread a lot of ill will if they're not happy. They get on social media if they do that. And maybe if it's a chance to repair a damaged relationship and get a lot more business flowing in.
Should I be doing demonstrations of my product at the show?
No, that's really great. If you can take a product, do something live, do something that's animated, that can help make you stand out. Often people will take one of their perhaps more obscure but more fun product and get some attention with it. That's great.
Why do you need a plan for trade shows?
Because how can you expect to have a great trade show if you don't plan it out, if you don't strategize? This is the key to business. What's your plan? How can you expect to do well if you haven't really thought things out? And typically with a business, you can have a different set of emphasis and objectives for every trade show you go to. Maybe you have a major new product launch, maybe a whole new line, maybe some key accounts that are the biggest problem. Maybe you want to be lining up overseas distribution. But typically you have a multi-pronged strategy. While you have something that's of overriding importance, maybe a lot of other things too. And then at a trade show, you have so many different objectives ideally, so many different things you're trying to accomplish. That's why you need a strategy. You need to emphasize what's first most important, what's second most. You need to get your people together and go through these things in advance.
Well, let's go through your list. What about special offers? Should I make them at the show?
So this list I've put together is more something for you to think about, to incorporate and build your own strategy. But yeah, special offers is one of the obvious things to think about. People expect special offers at trade shows. They expect deals. They expect a little special treatment. And absolutely you want them to put them together because people come looking for it, search them out. It's a reason to get people into your booth, to talk with them, to see them flesh to flesh, to cement relationships. And it's a great reason to get attention outside the trade show because then you can let everybody else in the world know you're important, you're connected, you're part of the industry, you went to the show. By the way, it's a special, it's a trade show special, so it's a way to make noise, get attention, and get some more money coming in.
Speaking of specials, what about new account specials? Do you run those?
Absolutely. New accounts, because it's a great time. People at trade show, they're open. They're looking for new venues. They're looking for new ideas. People are much more open-minded. So you want to make that thing happen now. You want to get them to buy it, your account, your place within somebody else. And one of the ways you do it is with the new account special. You put a little sign up, especially if that's your goal. Give them some extra pizzazz. Sometimes you got to give to get. Be generous.
How do I strengthen relationships with current customers?
Well, it depends. I mean, sometimes you're going to a trade show and you have some customers you have a major problem with. Maybe the product didn't work that well. So this way, that strategy in advance. So maybe it's a repair strategy. Maybe you don't have new accounts and that's what you're focusing on. Maybe it's a few big kind of accounts you want to get. So you have that strategy in advance. But one of the key ways is you make sure your booth isn't empty. I mean, often you go to a booth, even some of perhaps even more so with the bigger companies, and the key people aren't there. At the smaller booth, you get bored. You want to go off and have coffee. You chit-chat with people away from your booth. You've got to be in your booth when people are coming by. You never know, especially if you're a small booth that's not running by appointment, when that key person is going to walk down the aisle. And the other thing you got to do is you got to reach out on the aisle and talk with people. You can't be a wallflower. My father took this to the extreme. He'd say hello to everybody going up and down the aisle. And the senior salesperson said, "Oh, you can't do that. We look like we're too huckster-like." When it was funny, he went to the library trade show. You think this would be particularly frowned upon? Instead, they gave him a prize. They called him the friendliest booth. You can reach out without being a huckster. You can be friendly. That's how you can make things happen. At a trade show, it's incredible how many people will walk down that aisle during the show and not look at your booth but for a second. You got to get their attention. Yeah, you do with a great booth and products, but the easiest way is just smile and say, "Hey, what's your name? Where are you from?"
That's some great advice, Bob. How do you launch a new product line at a trade show?
Well, maybe that's your emphasis. In fact, there are only so many ways you can catch people's eyes visually in a booth. If you try to do everything, it's not going to happen. So sometimes you want to make the emphasis in your booth the new product line. Make it snappy, make it big. At a trade show to stand out, it's got to look polished, big, snappy, and different.
Should I look for outside sales reps to work for me?
I've talked about in some other sales presentations how getting independent sales reps can make a small business just take off like a rocket. Remember, these are often the people who work for the big guys, and now they're on their own, and they're great, And they're looking for small companies like yours where they can make some commission money going out and selling the daylights out of your products. But they're picky. They're not going to grab everybody. And the way you get their attention is not necessarily by having a huge booth, not by jamming lots of different stuff, but by having a neat-looking booth. Having maybe some big pictures well done up and framed, a classy-looking booth, a little display, but it's well done, it's attractive, and a little sign that says, sales reps wanted for some territories. Even if you don't have that kind of sign, you get some people calling and inquiring, but why not throw some fuel in the fire and get some great sales reps a day? What a wonderful benefit to get out of a trade show.
I love that vision you have of your booth, Bob. What about overseas distributors?
Again, a great thing that can happen at a trade show is getting overseas distribution. Even if you're a little tiny startup, even if you're pre-product, you can start to line people up like this. And while it's better to have a little bigger display for the overseas guys, even if you have a smaller booth, keep it classy, make it look good, have a 1 or 2 products or services you emphasize, and jump on board and send your products everywhere.
What if I get approached by a really big distributor? What should I do?
Well, what you want to do is, there are these big distributors walking around there. They're looking to fill in their product lines too. So you want to be aware of that. First of all, you want to try to say hello to everybody walking down the aisle. If you happen to know of somebody from one of these bigger distributors, get talking with them, get personal. Somebody like that's probably a little more hesitant than that independent sales rep to latch on and hear more about your business. So have a chair, sit down with them. But of course, first of all, you've got to be in the booth to begin with. You can't just have your most junior person there saying hello to everybody and being, not differentiating. You need to be there to jump on those opportunities when they happen.
I suppose it's a good idea to be checking out competitors' products.
Well, it's a great idea to find some time for doing this. I mean, part of it is you keep abreast of what people are doing. You get ideas, but another thing is you get inspired, seeing what your competitors are doing. It makes me feel excited about being in business, doing better things with my business. It raises the bar, it challenges me. It's a great thing to do, but you got to make sure you don't spend a lot of time, too much time, at other people's booths as opposed to being at your own. And of course, you're the only person there, you don't want to leave your booth empty. So maybe you try to sneak over the other people's booths off hours.
What if I spot a really cool product at the show that maybe I want to buy or distribute?
Well, often you will, and even if you're a small player, you're going to be a bigger player if you get somebody else's stuff to distribute and sell. But you don't want to get too excited about trade shows. I mean, it's okay to get excited, but don't close the deal necessarily there. Think about it, digest it. I've made a mistake at trade shows of signing up too many other people's lines and products and later figuring out I wasn't discerning enough, but they look so great in the bright lights of the trade show. So be careful.
I've been to trade shows myself, and I know at the very end of the shows, you always have a pile of business cards. What do you do with them?
Well, of course, today it's more likely to be electronic. If there is an electronic system in a show, you can flash to get somebody's badge. That's tremendous. Or if you get an attendee list, absolutely. But follow-up is so important. That's how you get so much mileage out of a trade show. And of course, it's obvious that the key customers, the key prospects, the key distributors, you grab and hold information, the key distributors, maybe publicity people. But sometimes I find among the most valuable contacts I get out of a trade show are contacts with my most direct competitors. Because I can call them up and ask them for a favor. I can ask them, how good is this distributor? Does this customer pay their bills? What do you think about this new development in the industry? What about this big customer? I heard they're crunching everybody at discount. What's happening to you? There are all kinds of contacts you can get out of a show, but you gotta fertilize them. You gotta follow up on them.
We covered a lot of information on trade shows, Bob. Before we go, what are the takeaways?
Make some noise there. You got to give to get. Have some specials. Have some regular customer specials, some new account specials. Don't ignore your current customers, and use the opportunity to boost your firm's image.